Ma'am, we are in live. Please, you may proceed.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. The samplings planted years back at SRM Institute of Science and Technology have borne fruits. Many of the students who studied here are engineers, researchers, teachers, and so on, and few such alumni are present among us now. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our alumnus, Mr. Sishir Suvarna. Sishir is one of my favorite students who graduated in the year 2017 and started his career in NVIDIA as process executive. It went on for a year, after which he pursued his master's in computer science and engineering from University of Buffalo, New York. He has now joined in Citigroup Technologies and working as Apps Dev Intermediate Programmer Analyst. He is currently working in cloud environment and also has pretty much knowledge in machine and deep learning and the real maths behind these domains. I am glad that I was your project guide, Sushi, when you were in SRM. We also have Aditya and Harshit, who are also our alumni and who has volunteered to be a part of this program. We are really thankful to all of you for taking this time out of your busy schedule to enlighten your juniors. I'm sure you guys will be an inspiration to many students present over here. Now I will hand over the session to Mr. Sushir. Sishir, you may start.
All right. Thank you so much, Kanya ma'am and Rajkumar sir, for inviting me over here today. Thank you for a very kind introduction and for inviting me, Harshit and Aditya. First of all, I just want to say that it feels really good to be back and speaking with all the SRM students. 2013 to 2017 were the years in which like we were one of you guys, one of you people, and I think we're still one of you people. So it feels great to be interacting with you people as an alumni, because I recollect the days when we used to just hang around in campus and speak like friends, thinking about our future and like where we would be in a couple of years. And today, like I get to speak with you all from that perspective. So I think that's really great. I would just like to start off by giving an introduction about a brief overview about myself, Harshit and Aditya. And I just want to, right off the bat, I just want to say that the aim of this small talk is not to, today, my aim is not to dive into some kind of pedantic lecture. We're just trying to share some tips, some experience that we have over the past few years after our journey from SRM, and just answer some of your questions and your doubts that you may have. So from that perspective, I would just like to start off by giving a brief overview of myself. I'm Shishir, and myself, Aditya, and Harshit, we all were in the 2013 to 2017 batch of CSE department at SRM. And after we completed our engineering degree, we all pursued our own paths. As for me, after graduation in 2017, I had a plan and I wanted to pursue my higher studies abroad. I wanted to do my master's. So for that purpose, I basically joined. So I basically started applying for universities. I started making my higher education plans. And in the meanwhile, I was working as a contractor for NVIDIA in Hyderabad. I did that for a short while. It was a brief stint. And once I got my admits over here in the United States, I came over here for my master's. So I came here to the US in the fall of 2018, and I recently graduated in Feb 2020. I graduated and I completed my master's degree. After that, I have been working with Citigroup, with Citibank over here in Buffalo itself, where I studied at the University of Buffalo. And I basically I joined in around June of 2020, and I've been working there since. So with that, I would just like to give Aditya and Harshit also a chance to introduce themselves, so that once that is done, we can proceed further into the talk. Thank you. Aditya?
Yeah, thank you, Shashir, for introducing me so kindly. So, yeah, hi, I'm Aditya Atul Jaiswal. So, like Shashir had mentioned earlier, I was also part of the batch from 2013 to 2017. And yes, we all had a common fields in computer science and engineering, but I think starting from the final year, we all had a different destinations. So in the final year, I had gotten placed in the Infosys private limited company, and from there, since I had my specialization in cybersecurity, so during my years in SRM, I had done pretty much 2 to 3 certifications as well, parallelly along my studies. I think those were the Juniper Introductory Certificate Program and the CCNA as well. Now, the CCNA exam was a bit expensive, so I didn't give that exam, but I had that completely understood inside out the entire book. And I'd given the Juniper exam. And with that, I had proceeded on to the internship program with Infosys in my final year. So not only did I complete my, final year project in SRM, along with that, I had also completed my project for Infosys with regards to the requirements in the internship. And with that, I got placed in the information security group. I mean, the certifications and what courses I had chosen over the course of years got the eye of the information security group in Infosys. And they called me up for a separate interview from which they had chosen me for the position of the information security analyst. And yeah, since then, I have been working as an information security analyst for Infosys. Now, I had in the middle studied, and thought of doing my studies abroad in the US, following the master's dream. And I had gotten an admit to the New York University, but due to this Corona pandemic, that has suffered a setback. So I've, you know, applied for a deferral onto next year. So yeah, that was my journey up from university to this current job, my future state over here, which I'm proud of. So yeah, now on to you, Harshit.
Ashut, you're muted.
Harshit, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah. So I went on, my journey was say, similar till 2017, and then I went on for the campus placement at Ernst& Young Global Delivery Service. And from there on, I just worked for 10 months. And after working 10 months over there, I pursued my MBA through SDA Bocconi Asia Center, which has a parent university in Milan, and I had an opportunity to go to Milan to do a semester over there. And currently, I got placed with Native Private Limited, which is a company in Mumbai itself, and I'm yet to join over there. So that's how my profile has been so far.
All right. I think moving on. So let me just, can we see the document? Okay, so just to give you guys a brief flavor for the talk, as you can see in the overview, first we'll be going over the introduction, the background, and next I'm going to start, I'll just explain briefly what I'm working on right now. Then we will go over the current trends in the industry from different perspectives. After that, I will look briefly upon higher education and challenges that you might face over there. And then we just might give some general advice, and if time permits, hopefully we can take some questions for you guys. So yeah, can we scroll back to the top? Uh, all right, thank you so much. So, as for me, like I mentioned earlier, I completed my master's over here. And my field was computer science and engineering with a focus on artificial intelligence and AI and ML and that kind of stuff. So, that journey basically, and the coursework that I'd chosen during my course, and along with an interest in data science and cloud, led me to my current role at Citi. Citi actually is a very global organization and has a presence all over the world. They also happen to have their office, one of their tri-state offices right here in Buffalo. So after my degree, through networking and interviewing, I landed a role over here in the information services group within Citi. So we are basically the reference data providers for internal teams within Citi. So what I'm basically working on right now is helping. I'm part of a team called the Cloud Engagement Team, and what we basically do is try to help internal Citi teams, which we refer to as clients, but they're really internal Citi teams, access the data that is required, whether it be sensitive financial data or accounts related data or trading related data, that kind of information that is used every day in and out, day in and day out in a financial corporation. We allow internal Citi teams that are developing applications for various initiatives and projects to allow this data in a more efficient manner. So, as we know, everything is moving towards a cloud based environment nowadays with Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure, and AWS just ruling the cloud landscape. So, similarly, I would just like to give you a small example. Say, for example, there are traders who trade on the floor, for Citibank traders who trade on the floor, and for the purpose of trading, say in order to enhance their trading for the day, they might need actionable insights into some a certain data that could be related to something like securities or some other tradable asset. And in order to facilitate that, a team in Citi might build an application to help the traders. So what where we come in is no matter whenever we look at such applications being developed for various initiatives, we allow we as a cloud reference data provider have access to the golden sources of data, and we allow the clients to migrate their platform, their data access from a legacy system to a modern schema-less document-based model, which we implement. So basically, we are working. I work with heavily with REST APIs. I try to build the REST APIs for the clients as per the requirements and facilitate the returning of various kinds of data for their applications. And also, we try to migrate our cloud infrastructure into a MongoDB based model where we don't have to deal with schemas and relations and that kind of stuff. Because when we deal with real world data, and this is one of the reasons why why models such as the document model like MongoDB has become so popular, because it's a very flexible and dynamic model where you're not bound by rigid structures, and like the model the structure of your database can change as your data and as your needs keep evolving. So that is something that I do, and basically we are I'm part of this the cloud platform that I work at. My team particularly is part of one of three teams. We have the DevOps team also that supports us, and we have other teams too. And as an overview, like to just to give you an overview, the place where I'm working at is part of the institutional clients group, which is a huge division within Citibank. And the ICG group also has other initiatives overarching initiatives that we are looking at. Like we are looking at various NLP applications when it comes to like creating chatbots to help clients and to help Citi customers, like access information more easily, or it may be like developing some applications in the field of data science to derive more insights and to improve our regulatory performance and so on and so forth. So this is like a brief overview of like what I'm currently working on, and I think I can hand it over to Aditya now so that he can explain his role within Infosys and the substantial experience that he has gained so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shashir. So yeah, my journey to Infosys, like I just chronicled it before, it started with the my placement in Infosys and my edge in information security related subjects like the certifications and the courses that I had chosen within the time that I spent in SRM gave me this edge that helped me get selected for the information security group. Now, the information security group of Infosys is one of the top information security groups within any company in India, and I'm part of the governance group over there, by the way. Small fact, when I really got selected for the information security group, I really wasn't assigned anywhere. So I was in the middle ground working for every team that, had any work for me availability. So I sat there with the networking team, with the penetration testing team, and then eventually got placed with the governance team. So yeah, with my time with the penetration testing team was more like Nmapping and Wireshark, using the softwares called Nmap and Wireshark to see if there are any you know interface based vulnerabilities on any such systems. And with the networking team, I did architecture overviews, architecture delegation, and reviewing of valid architecture based on the defense defense and depth models. So that's how I spent my time with those two teams. But then when I got placed with the governance team, that was a whole new deal, because unlike what you've prepared for in the certifications or any such technical skill, governance involves you in the entire set of activities that would allow you to take care of the ISG within Infosys. And in that, I was part of the metrics team. So not only did I help them, did I help Infosys make decisions which improve the status of ISG within Infosys, I also was part of the metrics team, which took stock of every single inventory inside Infosys, be it laptops, be it endpoints, be it servers, DMZ zones, everything of that sort. The most critical data that Infosys has and prizes is something that is handled by my team, me and three others. So yeah, I mean, that is some pretty important stuff to take care of. So the thing is, with this kind of data, there are regular requirements of people asking, or the upper management asking, for where the lapses are with the patch compliance or the laptop encryption, or let's say if any agent or any endpoint agent was not to be secured with a particular software, then how would we work around to circumvent it? So I'll just give you an example. Let's say we have Infosys based machines, and then there's something known as client based machines, right? So there's a problem where any Infosys uh, proprietary software cannot be necessarily installed on a client-based endpoint. And that is all in the terms and agreements which they have signed before becoming a client of Infosys. So, and we want to monitor that client machine as well, just so that we can ascertain that it's not been compromised by any manner. So how do we circumvent those problems? How do we install that endpoint software agent on it and continue to monitor it from Infosys is what I currently work on. Now, the current project that has been upcoming in my department is, the consolidation of all the metrics like patches, laptop encryptions, or any other such metric that is defined by the NIST framework that we follow, and the ISO 27001 framework. Uh, all of those metrics are supposed to be consolidated on a single platform. So that's what we're currently working on, along with all the side activities. So yeah, my role is kind of a hectic one. It's a bit spread out, but there's quite a bit of exposure. There's quite so much to learn from this in terms of not just technical skills. That is the most important takeaway for me in this entire 3-year journey with Infosys for now. It was not all about technical skills. It was how you were able to work in tandem and seamlessly with the client so that you could help them achieve their goals along with you in a way that it helps both the environments of Infosys and the client. So that was a very good experience for me for these 3 years. And yes, I've been continuously studying for different certifications. I just completed my Fortinet NSE 4 certification earlier, and I was looking at, I think the CCNA got revamped completely, last year. So I was looking forward to completing the updated CCNA again, given that I've done it before as well. But yeah, those were my plans ahead. Okay, so handing over to Harshit now. Harshit, over to you.
What he said in the end, that what matters is not just the technical skill, but also the tandem that you can work within the team. My profile is an example, I would say a classic example where the JD doesn't go with what you're doing in the job. And it starts with the campus placement in 2017 when I got placed with Ernst& Young Global Delivery Service as an associate software engineer. So my profile was supposed to be working in a technical field, but I had a managerial inclination all throughout 2016, and I started preparing for GMAT in 2017. And all the more, even before joining EY as an associate software engineer, I had my GMAT scores with me in 2017. While I joined EY, we've been given training for about 5 months. And in that 5 months, I was completely trained for being a testing engineer or being a software development engineer. But then later on, they gave me a choice of going for a financial analyst in a very different domain and working for the client, which was in a bubble room. Now, a bubble room is a place where it's it's kind of all confidential and you cannot take anything with you inside that room. So my work away from a technical domain shifted to a managerial part, and I became a financial analyst. And surprisingly, my whole team was filled with MBA graduates. And then it was all about what Aditya just said, keeping up with the team in tandem and learning new skills and new environment. My main work was remediating for my client, which was a major bank in the US. And what we were essentially doing is we were doing their due diligence. We were filtering out the profiles for risk management. And that was pretty much my role when I was working at EY. And as I told you guys that I already had my GMAT scores with me by the time I already joined EY. So with that, I started pursuing my management degree. I started applying to colleges, and luckily I got my college in the first year. So for those who do not know, GMAT scores are valid for 5 years. So you can just have your GMAT score and you can keep it with you and keep on applying for every year. But anyhow, so then I got into MBA, and my inclination was majorly towards marketing and HR. Once I got into my MBA, I then pursued for marketing, HR, and even finance because it was a general MBA. And then I finally got placed with Native, which is my current company, and I'm yet to join. And I got there placed as an associate consultant. The firm is about basically executive search, wherein a company will be your client and the senior managers and the top management will be your customers. And what we exclusively do for them is we get them placed to these high profile companies. So it's basically matching high profile to a high profile company, high profile jobs to a high profile company. And as an associate consultant, now I'm then put in a team of asset management. And that could happen only because I had a financial experience in a company like Ernst& Young, and I could leverage that experience in my MBA and get a job in a domain which was not at all my uh, BTech computer science. So I'm sure many of you will be there who must be thinking of digressing from your path and going towards MBA and not going towards and pursuing something technical in masters. And that is how all my path is about, even before I started my EY journey. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think the next topic that wanted to cover was the current trends in the industry. So, without going too much into detail, I just want to give you a brief overview of some of the fields that we think are like really have a lot of potential right now. So the first one is like data science, as we all know. Any role I feel that involves deriving actionable insights from data is going to like really boom in the coming years. This is because it's a simple fact. Fields like data science and machine learning. See, I'm also so when it comes to machine learning and data science, these aren't exactly old new concepts. Machine learning has in fact been around for a very long time. It's just that it sounded like a pipe dream because we didn't have that kind of data before. But in the last few decades, we have generated unprecedented amounts of data. And now, today, we also have the computing power in terms of hardware, which is very important to sustain this kind of data processing. So, as a result, we are finally in that position, we're in that golden era where we can derive like key insights, which might, and when I say actionable insights, this is like from say a banking perspective, this is analyzing consumer trends and actually deriving some kind of a solid plans to steer the organization in a better way. So any such role involving data science, and not just data scientists, but also data analysts or data engineers, all of these roles are really like have a lot of potential. The next one is cloud. Anything to do with cloud and cloud computing is going to is in fact has like a growth scope that is unprecedented. This is because like let me just give you a small example. Like AWS, Amazon is a like giant organization and is extremely diversified. Like it's at the like extreme end of diversification. Like they have their fingers in every possible field. But AWS, which is the cloud platform, which supports the cloud platform, Amazon Web Services, accounts for a huge chunk of their revenue. So that kind of like environment is like prime for growth. Also, in the US, we have a new emergence, like a field that is like really picking up is cloud gaming. So Xbox has launched their xCloud platform over here that is all completely based on the cloud on their cloud platform. They've basically taken an Xbox and put it into the cloud. So this gives the ability. So basically, from like if you look at it from an entertainment perspective, it opens up so many new possibilities. It allows people like to access things that they never could. So these are just some one or two examples that show how rapidly cloud is growing. And of course, we've all heard of the buzzwords like ML and artificial intelligence. These topics, these two particular fields, ML, AI, their subfields, including NLP and computer vision and so on and so forth. These are already in their like approaching their peak, and they're only going to grow because during my coursework, during my time at the University of Buffalo, while I was pursuing my course, I think I could say like the machine learning and deep learning craze was at an all-time high. So, which is really important because a lot of the research, like really the key innovations in any field, like in computer science or any other field, is driven by research. And I think, in my experience, like machine learning and AI is one of the most immensely researched topics right now. And I feel that the good part about this is that due to such a strong research community, and by the like inherent nature of like the CS community to be like open and like to share knowledge and stuff, I think there's a very robust community for discussion and for learning, and the resources that are available today for students like you people is like really good. So I think this is another field that is like going to just grow in the coming years. Distributed computing is another field that is really going to like take over, and it has already taken over many traditional fields of computer science. This is because I think there is a need like never before to build fault tolerant systems that can withstand a lot of different things, for example like hardware failures or cyber attacks and so on and so forth. So distributed platforms are like a focus of nearly every major tech giant, be it Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, so on and so forth. So that is one thing. And of course, cybersecurity, I thought I would mention this because today, as our technology develops, like the rate, the intensity, and the sophistication of like cyber attacks has grown immensely. And I personally wasn't really aware of all this until I joined City. But like being in that role, gaining that experience, I've understood just how much. How much vulnerability there is and how much in terms of like cyber attacks for any user, not just a user of a bank account or a user of a service. It's just that in our day-to-day lives, as everything transitions to an electronic, everything transitions to digital or has transitioned to digital, I think the scope of like manipulation in various ways has increased. So obviously, there's a huge demand and supply gap today for qualified cybersecurity professionals, and I think this field is going to grow. So basically, these are some of the fields that you guys should try to explore and look at right now. So you might get your fingers wet and then get your feet wet and then just try to see what suits you and like try to specialize in any one of these and probably take them up as your career. And I think Aditya can elaborate more on the cybersecurity part or the demand for such services and professionals.
Yeah, thanks, Shashir. So, yeah, speaking about cybersecurity, as we all digitize with the upcoming cloud platforms and the IoT revolution that's going on right now, cybersecurity is not going anywhere. It's more than ever than now. We are in the most critical phase of the need for professionals in cybersecurity. Because if you look at it this way, you have lots of people trying to get information they're not supposed to have their hands on, and it's causing a lot of problems. The data leaks you may see, the spear phishing. Okay, spear phishing, targeting a particular person in a particular company in order to infect the company and then demand for a ransomware. That's how ransomware attacks normally take place with the spear phishing that's going on. And I think in the past few months, we've already uncovered within Infosys with our intelligence team that is there. They are on a different level. I think they've already unearthed 30 to 40 different strains of malware that are floating on the on the internet, ranging from ones which are delivered through macros in Excel, which are really straightforward, and the ones which are which mislead you to websites, right down to the ones where the exploit on your machine, because it is unpatched, is exploited by the hacker because he has the tools to do so, and you are a juicy target for him. So yeah, and even in terms of banking right now, I am really confident that cryptocurrency might have a good future ahead of us. I'm really not sure if RBI India would, legitimize that, or the world would really transition to it. It's really on a knife's edge right now. It exists, but it's not overtaking the environment. So even for banking, cryptocurrency is a must. It's a really important field right now. And yeah, there's nothing you can go wrong with. But it doesn't just stop with cybersecurity, right? If you just say the word, you have many fields within it. You can go into tech ops, you can start in the legal field for cybersecurity. You can manage the information security group like I am doing so right now. So you have these three very broad fields within which you'll find many different focal points and focus points in emphasis or in cybersecurity. So yeah, that's my view on cybersecurity. It's a very upcoming topic. It's a very rewarding field as well. So yeah, it's a very fruitful field to go into right now.
Right. Thanks, Aditya. I think moving on, we would just like to cover in brief the I'm sure a lot of students over here who might watch this or who are watching this right now have higher education plans. We just thought that we would cover that quickly. So when it comes to, can we see the document? So when it comes to higher education, I think there are a couple of pointers that I would just like to share based on my experience. I think the journey starts from like preparation for your exams, be it GRE, GMAT, or CAT, or so on and so forth, as well as your English proficiency tests like TOEFL and IELTS, and it goes all the way to like completing your degree and graduating. So it's a really long journey that might sometimes feel like very strenuous, but it's a challenge that you guys should definitely try to take up, and there are a lot of opportunities both in India as well as abroad. So first of all, just some quick pointers that I would like to give is that keep your deadlines clear and work with the deadlines when you're applying for universities right in the beginning, because a lot of the universities in different countries follow timelines, and yet some more universities have rolling admission. So the earlier you get into the process, the better. The other thing is, I would say, when you're preparing for your standardized tests like GRE and your TOEFL and so on and so forth, please schedule your exams properly and make sure that you have enough number of mock tests before you actually go and give out the real test, because that way you can gauge your performance on the real day, on the real test day accurately, and you'd probably be in a better state of mind. The other thing is, once you guys get your scores for your tests, don't slack off saying that okay, we are done with our tests now. We've done it, and now we can like relax. That's just the beginning of the journey. So be proactive in choosing your universities. When you're choosing your universities, I would say definitely keep a mix of like safe universities, kind of ambitious universities, and very ambitious universities. Like you should try to aim to get an admit in like at least one or two of those categories, and try to balance out your applications. The other thing is, once you, and this is advice for once you are done with all this process and like you're in the final stages and you're about to go and move to another country. And before when I talk about countries, this is something that I just want to clear up. Like, you people should be looking at all the different countries, because a lot of changes have happened, and a lot of countries, not just the US anymore, a lot of countries are very lucrative, be it Canada or UK or some other, or Europe, which has great education. All of these countries are great options. So just try to expand your view beyond like the traditional places and see if they try to offer if they offer you good courses. Um, um, I think some small but significant factors is like when you begin your higher education journey, please keep in mind the coursework that you choose, because in my experience, what really matters is the coursework that you choose. And unlike a lot of the our Indian universities, and the system in general in the US and in other countries is very like you're self-reliant, so you make all the decisions on your own judgment, and whether it be a good decision or a bad decision, like you would have to face that, face the consequences of that. So the reason why I say that is, in your first semester, when you're adjusting to a new place, don't opt for like overly hard coursework. Choose coursework that is balanced, and try to like get yourself acclimatized to the new environment once and so that's one thing. The other very important thing is, whether it be higher education or whether you're looking to get placed in India or placed abroad after your education or whatever it is, try to work on projects, try to do interesting projects. So one project that stands out for me that I worked on was like I worked on this mobile app, and the cool part was the course was just a course for the sake of it was a course for the namesake. It was just a course in name, but actually it was a full-fledged simulation of like how an office environment would be. Because I worked with a local entrepreneur, and he came the first day he came. I remember he just came with like a vague vision of what he wanted to achieve. Like he was like, oh, I have this idea, and like fast forward like 3 months or 4 months, we had like a working prototype. So basically, when you do such projects, what that teaches you is that you have to like take initiative. It teaches you leadership. It teaches you communication, like working in like cross-functional teams. Like I was in the front end team, I was a back end team, and you have to constantly coordinate. So these kind of skills that are very useful when you try to go out into the industry and try to get placed. I think these can be developed by through projects. I think I just want to mention this one small but very critical factor is like universities over here take issues like academic integrity very seriously. So don't like get into any of these issues. I've seen people like face that, and like it really takes there's an adverse effect. That's just something that we think that we won't face that situation, but when you get into that journey, when you're doing your masters, it's already really stressful. So avoid taking such bad decisions, like, and keep simple things in mind, like be well rested before exam. I know it sounds very cliched, but yeah, there are like very adverse effects, because unlike India, over here you might have 2 or 3 exams scheduled back to back, so you might have to like keep yourself fresh for that. So keep all that in mind. Also, one thing that I noticed, like when I landed over here, New York State, and like on the first day, I was speaking with my friend about something, and then I said the word SRM, and some guy who was standing beside me, he was like, SRM, are you from SRM? I was like, yes. So that's how we just build that rapport. So build your alumni network. Like in my experience, like SRM graduates are there all over the world and in some really good positions. So build that kind of network through various like networking services like LinkedIn, and also build your network in general. Even if you're not looking at higher education, but you're looking to get placed, keep your LinkedIn profiles, your projects, all of that portfolio very neat and clean, so that you can always have the chance to present it. Also, one thing that you might consider for higher education is how much experience to get before. There are two ways you can opt, like you can go choose your path and like go for studies right after you graduate, or you might probably wait for a while, gain experience, and then go. In my experience, I would say that people who came over here with some work experience before they started their education, they generally managed like the stresses of like higher education better, because they've already dealt with those kind of like scenarios in their work life. So that's one thing. And I think that's about it. I think Aditya, would you have any small brief insights on like how you chose your universities, or like how you prepared for your
Yeah, so with the universities that I could choose in the US, which were great in research as well. So since I like too much analysis and stuff, so I really wanted to in my next job go into the research part of cybersecurity, more into cryptography and stuff. So I really based my universities on how much research they've done. Right. So I think John Hopkins was really on top of that list, followed by New York University and then the others in other countries. And well deservingly, I got into New York University. And I think aside from my experience as well, what I've done so far in my field in terms of certifications, the courses I've chosen, the amount of work that I've put in my current job at Infosys, as well as my current studies, time management that I've put through, have really made my profile stand out. Because let's be honest here, I just got a 316 in the GRE, right? That's nowhere near the amount you would require if you would just go in as a fresh graduate, if you've done nothing, right? Because it's a top 40 university we're talking about over here, and it is going to accept scores more than 320 at any cost. But what made my profile stand out was um, the amount of certifications I had done, the amount of work that I had put in my job, the amount of engagement I had with my senior leaders, including the CISO of Infosys. So yeah, all of that really reflects on how much you can put onto your SOP and the letter of recommendations that you could take from. and it really propels you ahead. In terms of the other exams that you have to give, you really have to manage your time. So earlier I had, you know, planned to give the GRE and TOEFL in my college years, but I didn't go through with that plan. But I really had to manage and make time for these exams in my work life. And yeah, basically, time management is all that you would need to get things done properly. I think beyond that, other than COVID just offsetting my entire plans, I think that was the entire thing I followed through just to get into this prestigious university. Harshit, would you like share any such opinions for the GMAT?
Was into MBA, and like right now you guys are in your third years and placements are ahead. At such scenarios, I would segregate the group those who want to do MBA in India and those who want to do outside. It's as simple as that. And those who want to go outside, and even for India, GMAT is, I would say, the go-to exam, because just like GRE, you can plan your GMAT and you can be your own managers. You do not have to wait for that particular year to come for you to get a job or for you to graduate to have a GMAT score. And as I said in my profile, I took up GMAT early on 2017, even before getting a job. And that makes your work a lot more easier. It's either time management while you are doing a job, or you can take this step much ahead. You guys are in your third year, and this is, I feel, the best time for those who want to go for an MBA, whether it may be India or outside. There's a misconception that if you take GMAT in India, there are no colleges which does not take GMAT in India, and that is definitely a misconception, because I took GMAT and I went to a university which gave me an opportunity to be in India and go outside, and it was essentially in India. But other IIMs and other prestigious universities in India do consider GMAT. Um, what I would like you guys to say is, there's a clear differentiation between CAT and GMAT, although they get you the same thing, which is an MBA degree. Those who are good at quants, those who are good at mathematics, go for CAT if you're going for India. And if you want to go for India and your mathematics is not that great, you can definitely go for GMAT. Yes, the exam is expensive. It takes 17,000 rupees for an exam, but it fetches you great results. You can definitely opt for GMAT well in advance, even in your third year. Um, After this particular session, you can go and search about GMAT. Um, Schedule it maybe next year itself, before your fourth year starts. And I think that will do the trick, and that will give you a lot of comfort that you have a score even before your placements. What really matters is, and what an MBA college look for in a candidate, that is really important, because you may be a campus placement or a MBA degree which you are pursuing, you will have to face an interview. And in that interview, you will have to have a lot of certification, a lot of events which you have done at SRM, being a part of club, and of course, a great score. All these things count. And the only thing as a giveaway I would say is, try to take up GMAT before your placements, because by next year when the placement season is on, it's kind of difficult, because you'll be keep juggling between whether to go for placements or go for, even for those who are firm with the decision that they'll go for higher studies, immediately placements will come up. You might get digressed from your path, and then you go for placement, and then you are left with nothing. You're not putting your full efforts in placement, you're not putting your full efforts in proper MBA preparation. My story went on like this. Before, I was kind of undecided, and in my third year I took up a CAT coaching class. And I'm sure Career Launcher is there in the old campus of SRM. So I took up that, and then CAT didn't seem to be working out really well with me, and I just said, you can always go for GMAT. The other tests which you can go for is NMAT, SAT. These are the major exams which will definitely get you somewhere either in India. For outside, GMAT is definitely the go-to exam. More than that, once the placement starts, um, since I took part in placements, you can definitely go for companies which offer a little bit of BD type roles, which is business development. If you are already very firm about your decision to MBA, start pursuing courses like business analytics, because this is an era in my MBA college where so many guest lecturers came up and they said that digitalization is everywhere. Whether you are a computer science graduate, whether you are a biotech graduate, whether you are from a pharma sector, whether you're pursuing MBA, no matter wherever you are, digitalization is taking it all over. And as my colleague said, that AI and ML will take over the world for sure. And we as a manager, even if you go for MBA, you will have to get comfortable with technology. So, and it's going to help you as well in your computer science degree, even if you're not going for higher education. These certifications of business analytics, of data science, even data structures, these are going to help you whether you're going to go for an MBA or not, or no matter whatever higher education you're going to go for. So my only advice to those who are going to pursue MBA is take your decision right now, because GMAT scores are valid for 5 years. And 5 years is a long time. You guys are going to get graduated in upcoming 1.5, 2 years max. So I think this is the time for you to take a firm decision, and that's it. Take up the exam, have a score with you, and it will give you a lot of mental relaxation, and then you can definitely focus on your placements as well. There's no harm in having a GMAT score with you and even going for placement. Who knows? Because in my case, I went on just for a 10 month, and someone might ask, why just 10 months in a good company like Ernst and Young? Because I already had my scores. I just took up a relevant experience in being a financial analyst, and then you can use that score, which is just lying with you, and you do not have to work your way out by balancing your time with the job as well as the score. So I think that is the way you can tackle it.
All right, thanks, Harshit, for your insight. I think the next topic that we just quickly want to cover, and I think I want Aditya and Harshit to give their perspective more on this, is because this is relevant to students who are going to face their placements, is like campus placements. So, like, do you
Yeah.
guys have any quick pointers to share for campus placements?
So for campus placements, the very first thing they'll be checking is your aptitude and your English test, and they might make you write an essay if you have applied for in the day sharing companies like Infosys or TCS. So keep your aptitude skills right up to the mark, and keep your mm, English skills right up to the mark. As for the interview that you would have at the very final stage, be confident in your skills. Don't be afraid to, open up to them. They are not there. Okay, yeah, they will test you, but it really need not falter in front of them, right? You need to show them the skills you have. You need to show them how capable you are. Sure, they make you write some programs on the paper. That's fine, right? It's easy to write some simple recursion over there. So, yeah, but I think even getting to the interview part, you really need to keep your aptitude skills and your English skills sharpened. So please keep them in handy. You really need to focus on your aptitude skills for campus placements. Harshit, any opinions that you might have?
Yeah, I like to add that this is what I've seen in my classmates. They do not take these aptitude exams seriously, and then it's gonna hit everyone hard. It hit me hard. I'm sure every one of us who's going to sit for placement, no matter how much um, excellent skills you have, if you're not gonna crack the aptitude test, you're not gonna go to that next level of even getting an opportunity to test your skills as a programming language. And all through this while, I would say that choose, even right now, it's not late, you are in your third year, choose one programming language and master it. What happens is, let's say you are through your aptitude test, you will be made to give a programming test, maybe a pattern, palindrome, or a very simpler test for your coding skills, and that will require you to have master in one programming language, may it be whatever. Choose C++, choose Java, but stick to at least one. I'm not saying do not go beyond one. I'm just saying at least one programming language you must master in order to crack interviews. Like I can tell you, in Amazon, they gave us an example of, a test of creating a pattern using star symbol. It was as simple as that. And many of us didn't get through that because some or the other complication came in between. Also, what I would like to say, those who are very serious about just placement, they do not want to go for higher study, no matter what their reason is. You have to be up to the mark with group discussions. You have to be up to the mark with mock interviews. So when such things happen, take it seriously, because you won't get a lot of opportunities where mock interviews will happen at a serious level and group discussions will happen. And many people get out in group discussions. When I was sitting for EY, there were like 13 people in my group discussion and only two got selected, and I was luckily one of them. And in many cases, I was rejected from like 20 companies before I got into Ernst and Young. And you have to just keep going on and on. Coming to the point that your CV is like a balanced diet. It's not like you are a 10 pointer and it will make the trick. But to crack through the interview once you're there, the recruiters look for whether you have taken part in college activities or not, whether have you taken part in some online courses, with Aditya has been telling all this while that you can take up courses in Coursera or Udemy, because they look for what is unique in you. Everyone is doing a BTech CS degree, and so what's special about you? You just score a 9.9, but 9.9 CGPA is for like 100 of you out there, and the company is gonna come and take 10 of you. So what gonna make you stand out is a balanced diet CV. And the last thing, when it comes to campus placement, you will have to have a lot of patience, and you will have to keep going on. Regardless of the fact that you are a good CGPA pointer, you have a great coding skill, your aptitude is all up to mark, and there will be times you will be rejected. The first company will come, reject. 10th company will come, reject you. And that is where you will have to keep yourself together, think that you will just keep going on and on. And trust me, SRM University is going to give you ample opportunities. 30 companies, 40 companies, they are going to come. I had to go through 20 rejections to get to this company. And that is the truth. That is the bare truth, that every company is going to come and take like 10, 15 people. Sometimes they take 50, and mass recruiters, they might take 500, 600 people. But you will have to give yourself time. You will really have to give yourself time, that it will happen to me. My time will also come somewhere or the other. Focus on aptitude skills, focus on mock interviews, and have one programming language as a master, and that will do the trick.
I would just like to add that this is a very good point. This is like really true, because understanding the basics like data structures and algorithms, and understanding like time and space complexity, all that kind of stuff, that is common to all programming languages. But like focusing on one is like really important. And if I had to do it again, I would probably start with Python, because just focus, and because it's a very like user friendly language relatively. So it's very powerful. And when you learn Python, you can probably like put it to good use in like data science and ML and all that other kind of stuff. The other point that Aditya made a while ago, I just want to touch upon this, be it placement or be it higher education, be it whatever, like people are going to look at your profile very holistically, so they're not going to focus on one area. So please make sure that it's balanced, your profile is balanced. It's not just one thing that like makes or breaks it. And the other thing is, I would just like to give, if I had known this before, it would have been great. Like when you, if any of you guys ever pursue your education, you will higher education, especially your masters in the US, then you will come to know that a lot of the a lot of the academic cycles begin in fall. Some of them begin in spring, but fall is also the time when a lot of companies actively recruit for internships and those kind of positions. So the minute you land, like you'll have a lot of opportunities there. So make good use of that and make sure that before you arrive, like review all the prerequisites that you have in your coursework and try to like have at least a solid understanding of those and make sure that you are kind of ready to face those interviews in for internships. Because let me just tell you, like over here, the people who perform well in in their internships get converted into full-time employees, and that is a huge thing over here because that changes a lot of things. You don't have to worry about placement, and you don't have to worry about all that kind of stuff. So this is something. If there's one takeaway, I would just say that be ready and try to secure a good internship. And if you're pursuing your masters in whether it be in US or Canada or wherever in some other country, just try to make sure that you're working under professors, you try to do some kind of research or you do some kind of interesting project and take part in that kind of thing. And just one point that I want to make, this unlike India, there is no such there's no concept of like campus placements in other countries abroad. It's all like you fend for yourself. The only thing we do have is career fairs where companies just come, you give your resume, you're one of like 500 people who gives your resume, and like they look at it and they're like, okay, we'll get back to you. And there's no such thing as a campus placement, which is why again I stress on the fact that try to secure an internship and like try to do well there so you can convert yourself. And if not, like networking is like really important. So start networking like 1 year before you graduate so that you have like built a strong network and like reach out to recruiters and do all that stuff. And also whether you're trying to get placed in India or here or wherever, whether it be after your masters or after BTech and SRM or whatever. So you're in the third year right now, still have time. So I would say those basics are very important right now. Just focus on that and always keep in mind that I think one thing I've understood is you'll never get that extra time or that free time or something like that. You just something that has to go parallelly along with whatever else is going on. Like you'll have to do your courses. You'll have to, if you have some assignments, you have to do that, but you'll have to take some time apart from all that and like practice all this. So I think that would be helpful for you guys. And yeah, speaking of rejections, you will face a lot of rejections. So university rejects. I had a lot of university reject. You will face rejections from like universities and companies that you were sure like you were meant to go there, but your profile fits, everything happens, and then you still get rejected. This happens in placement all the time because there are only so many candidates they can entertain and like they take in, and at the end of the day it's humans who are reviewing your profile. So like don't be disheartened. That's all I want to say. Basically, if there's one takeaway, don't be discouraged, because like Robert Frost said, like everything that I've learned about life can sum up in 3 words. So it goes on, right? So just keep that in mind and just keep moving forward. And speaking of profile, I just want to touch up on this small point. I don't know how many of you guys are focusing on this, but just there's a lot of talk about this nowadays because the sheer volume of applications and these are like basics. These are all like very simple things that I'm talking about, but they're also very critical. No matter how good you can have the best profile, but if your resume doesn't go through the door, then like it doesn't make sense. And companies don't divulge which recruiters like look at the resumes with their own eyes, which companies use like tracking systems and so on and so forth. So try to make first thing is like just try to make your resume like ATS compliant. Try to make it uniform. Don't have like weird formatting and all that kind of stuff, because you have no idea like how much that matters. Like I've seen on LinkedIn recruiters sharing like the problems like they like faced like problems candidates face because of this, and in very few cases this will almost never happen. Like a recruiter will never reach out to you even if you have a good profile, but your resume was like not up to the mark because it never went to that stage. So, in very few cases, maybe a recruiter reaches and says, "Oh, hey, correct this and like send it, get it back to me," because that's the only way like it can go into the system. So, just make sure your resume is up to the mark and keep it concise. Unless you have a lot of experience, try to keep it limited to one page and try to format it properly and list all your major accomplishments, the things that you want someone to have their eyes on right in the, make it prominent. So basically, that's all I wanted to share about that. And also, just a small factor is okay. I've covered internships. The other thing is don't be like fixated on like one particular role, and don't think that if like you didn't secure that one thing, and this is again this applies to university also. Don't be like fixated that okay, I didn't get this, so now nothing else matters. It's not. It doesn't work like that. So try to explore more roles over here in the US, like big companies like technical product management, analyst roles there, and so on and so forth. They are like huge, and there's a huge scope. Also, there's a lot of scope for DevOps because new tools like HashiCorp, Terraform, and all that stuff, they're like moving all that into the cloud infrastructure. So like there's a lot of new things coming up, and if you have that kind of interest, try to look beyond the like traditional roles too. I think you might like find something that you're interested in. I think apart from this, just some general advice that we all can give. I think we can all be present for this part. Can we all be added? Okay, so some general advice that I would just say that now I would just say since we have graduated, we three, I can clearly see the difference in like, the opportunities that the students have today. And I hear that SRM has a lot of new clubs like the Google Developer Club and whatnot, and Microsoft and so on and so forth. So make use of all these resources is what I would say. And nowadays, I think internet, like net, keep it as it might sound, has developed all the most. If you want to learn ML today, you have like free resources to train your models. Like you have Google Colab, you have free credit for students on Google Cloud platform. You have all these new courses, online courses. You just take up something, and try to develop that. So make use of all the resources that you have as a student. Make use of your time. And yeah, Aditya, Harshit, do you guys have anything to add? And also, one last thing I would just say is that enjoy your last year on campus, because we took it for granted, but I can tell you, like amongst ourselves, we've discussed so many times, like we've
Oh
recollected
yeah,
the memories
definitely.
that we had on campus and like the experience that we had, with all the faculty and everything. So just enjoy this like last few months or years that you have. So yeah, that's about it. Aditya, quickly, do you want to share a couple of points?
Yeah, like I think Shasha highlighted everything that was supposed to be said earlier. But if I was to summarize everything of that in a single sentence, I would just say keep yourself fresh, keep yourself innovative, and apart from the group. So you have tons and tons of online resources now. It's not like back when we were there, things were limited, or you didn't have resources for something, or it's not even further back then you didn't have much on the internet. Now you have absolutely everything on the internet. You want to code, you want to learn something, you want to award yourself, you had lead code. You want to learn cybersecurity, cyberready.it. If you want to go for IT or any such aptitude skills, everything is there online. You have Cyberary, you have Udemy, you have Coursera, you have EDX, you have unlimited opportunities online. I can say that because I've seen very, very few people leverage all of this. I've seen far fewer people study on their own for their own subjects and it shows on their resume. That's a given thing. So when you look at your resume, right, like Shesha mentioned earlier, has to be 1 page or 2 pages. It depends on the experience you have. It's a reflection of you. I'm sorry. It's a reflection of your professional you on a piece of paper, right? So it has to be ATS compliant. ATS is a standard that you have to comply when you're on outside in the US. Over here, you have to keep it as neat as possible. You have to show whatever you have accomplished, what you know, and what sets you apart from the crowd. That is to say, per se, that would help you a lot. So grooming your resume is something of paramount importance when you apply in any single company, because the recruiters, they get tons of resumes, they'll have to go through all of them manually. And if you have something that sets you apart from the others, it's obviously going to shine, and they're going to set it apart rather than setting it down with the others for rejection. Along with that, yeah, I mean, these final years, please enjoy yourself. I know it's a lot of life hitting you hard in the third and fourth years with the upcoming uh, placements, you thinking about your future. Oh no, the my fun college years are gonna come to an end. Yes, that is gonna happen, and you have to plan for the future right now. And you have plenty of time. If you're in the third year and even in the starting of the fourth year, you have plenty of time right now. You can pace yourselves. You can attend internships. You can do a couple of certifications. You have a year. You might take just 2 months for a certification if you dedicate yourselves to it. So yeah, enjoy these years. Don't overburden yourself. Please groom your resumes and have fun. Like Shashir said and Robert first, it goes on. It will keep going on now and to the end. So yeah, that's it from me. Harshit?
Yeah, thank you. So, the only advice I would really say is always take decisions early. While you are students right now, you can take this third year as the deciding year. You can decide whatever you want from your future and act accordingly. Because right now, if you take steps to prepare to hone yourself in a certain particular path, then later on, when fourth year comes, when graduation comes, that panic won't arise. That now I'm graduate, I do not have a job, or if I have a job, I wanted to do higher education, now it's late. Also, I would like to say this one advice: when we are in our 20s, we are always in a hurry. Keep on changing companies, we are always in a hurry to keep going on and on. Having that zeal of going on is fine, but we should take a step back and really realize that what direction we are choosing for ourselves to go on in. Otherwise, it will lead to a lot of diversified career paths, and by the age of 29, 30, you will feel that the past 8, 9 years were irrelevant to whatever I'm doing right now. So, early decision making is really essential. And as everyone said, now we really miss our college life, and you guys must enjoy the fact that you are still students and take really advantage of the fact that you can be students again in your higher studies and keep on learning, but it should be an organic growth, not through a process of cycle where it is a panic, where it's a burden. So I think that's all we would like to say. Anyone else wants to add any point? Then?
I think I really agree with that point. Both Aditya and Harshit made very valid points, and I think that last point that Harshit made, that your learning should be organic and not like a spurt of like panic and then doing, and then that's how, because that's how a lot of us proceed, and that's how a lot of like assignments were submitted during college days and all that happened. So, but yeah, try to make it balanced. Try to make your journey balanced. And this is something that I thought I'd add. Today is actually World Mental Health Day. So I think this is a factor that is going to come into play whether you're working or going abroad for higher studies. I can speak from my experience. It's a very stressful experience. So I think that's something that is really important, but it's very overlooked because no one wants to like over openly talk about it. I think it's very important to like keep yourself balanced and like I mentioned earlier, it's not end all be all if you fail. So don't be afraid to fail and keep your mental health a priority and spend as much time as you can with your family because who knows if you leave one day for your higher studies or something like that, you might not see them for a very long time after that. So with these are and spend time with your friends too because these are things that we take for granted. I mean, I try to connect with these people regularly, but everyone is like busy. So like we take it for granted. Like we'll meet him tomorrow, but some like the day we graduate, it might be a very long time before you meet your close friends again. So yeah, at the end of the day, it comes back to like the basics, friends, family. That's what's important. Keep yourself first, and try to take care of your mental health and just focus on the basics. Like we said, I'm just summarizing their points and my points as well. Try to focus on one programming language, get the basics right. Try to take decisions early. Try to look into the current trends of the industry and see what looks like it could be the next big thing, and try to get in early because so basically when you get into a field which has not been when you get into a market or a field that hasn't been saturated yet, and you have the edge. So try to come up with something and we haven't covered this in this talk, but a lot of you might have the entrepreneurial spirit. You might want to set up something of your own. So try that is a whole different ball game, and it requires a lot of like dedication and a lot of perseverance. So you can try out all that. And I think just something that like my dad tells me that when you're young, you have a greater appetite for risk. So don't be afraid to try out all these things. This is the time when we should try out all the new things that we want to try out. So just keep all these in mind with respect to our careers. So keep all this in mind, and yeah, I think we all wish you all the best. And I'm glad that I got Aditya and Harshit to on board because initially I thought I'd give it alone, but I'm glad that they could share their perspectives. So we got like a diversified view of everything. So I think on
Yeah.
that note we can end it. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'm glad that Shasukanya ma'am actually reached out and we got the chance to share whatever little we know. So thanks everyone
We'll
for.
take some questions, or should we just end it
Oh,
here?
yeah. Do you want to? I mean,
I
I
see
said.
some questions over here.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
think we
So
can. We definitely can.
yeah, okay, yeah, fine.
So I think I see, yeah. So I think we have the first question. Learnings from SRM, which we're using useful for the corporate world. So I think, yeah, the different research opportunities that were present in SRM, right? The different labs that were there and the professors that used to encourage us to work with them in the projects and the other teachers who used to, push us towards performing better in the labs and gave us online resources. I think most of it boils down to the faculty that's there, which will help you, propel in the professional world. So you have to leverage that and yeah, I think I use that as the current propelling force to get where I am right now.
Yeah, I think I would just like to add that whenever you go into your work life or whenever you go into your this thing, it's always going to be a collaborative environment. I think if one thing SRM has taught us like to working together, being it on in projects or whatever. So like learn from your peers because oftentimes like people around you know a lot more or they might know a lot. So try to learn and try to imbibe their this thing. And I think SRM or the college environment is a very unique environment because everyone is in that phase, everyone is in that learning phase, everyone wants to grow. So it's a very it's like a melting pot of like perspective and like ideas. So try to learn from your peers. I think that kind of perspective gave us the ability to like make decisions. And also it's not like you won't do any it's not like everything's not going to be alone. You can't be a lone wolf. So all these years, even after graduating, I like asked these people for advice. So these are some unique things that we learned and we got out of our college experience. I would say not just SRM. You would yeah, but SRM in particular, like our college experience that helped us in the real world, I would say.
Yeah, once you have that group of friends that's really competitive, you can, see what's going on. You can compare your work. You can discuss with them. You have your teachers with your professors. It really helps you develop that mentality of having to get better at what you like and, go above and beyond to do something in it. That really helps.
I feel, yeah, I mean, SRM leverages a lot from the sheer crowd it has. The amount of students which are there helps definitely us to get kind of attuned. I mean, get kind of attuned to the fact that there are so many different perspectives. People are from all the states, and it really helps us whether we are doing a group discussion, whether we are presenting a different point of view in the interview. And these small factors adds up in 4 years. And I think that really helps to uh, crack interviews or maybe perform better at group discussions and have a wider open mind.
Yeah, so I see another question over here from Shubham Balala. Um, Shubham, I think DevSecOps won't be the exact thing we want in the future. It'll be the exact thing we need as we have the different, people in the development team that would be required to be compliant with the different coding vulnerabilities that exist in the current environment. So if you take any language, right, you'll have certain pitfalls for everything as you code on with it. And you have certain methods in which you can prevent those um, exploits vulnerabilities from being exploited, right? So DevSecOps in the future, it's in the benign stage right now, but I can tell you even within Infosys, people, it's become a buzzword, and people are gradually ramping up to become DevSecOps compliant. There are courses around in the Coursera and the Udemy and edX websites. And yeah, if you want to follow down that part, you might also become a security coding engineer, which is also a very respectable field over here, given the fact that we normally have to monitor some normal development team and inform them of how to code, what practices to follow. Because if you're aware of it, there'll be a waterfall module, right, for software development, and after the first cycle it will come to the ISG for review and emphasis, and we'll find you know around 156 or 200 vulnerabilities, and we'll have to send it back, which is not very efficient. So integrating security into development operations is something what we are looking at. And like I said earlier, it's become a buzzword right now, and it will become a buzzword for the other companies as well. So yeah, I would look at it as a upcoming field for which you will require knowledge of coding as well as the OWASP and other common vulnerabilities that could be exploited within common codes. So yeah, DevSecOps is a thing, and you can focus on it.
All right. I think we have one question from Kajal Sharma. She's asking, would you suggest asking drop for preparing for GRE GMAT? I'm not exactly sure. I follow the question earlier. What did you
I
get the
think she
question?
might be asking for an extra year to prepare for GRE GMAT.
Okay.
I
I
would okay,
It's
so
after graduation or something, like a drop after graduation.
So I think in general, Kajal, I would say that, like I mentioned earlier too, there's never going to be you if you keep it in your mind that I need extra time or something like that, then that might slow down your overall growth. I think you will have to multitask. I mean, you will have to manage many things simultaneously. So and definitely for GRE, see GR, like I think this ties into another point that I mentioned. It's important for people to understand who want to do higher education that universities abroad don't look at just your GRE or your GMAT scores or whatever. It's a very like rounded up around
yeah,
balanced profile that you have to have. So GRE GMAT is just one factor among many when you're applying for university. So I don't think you need to drop for or like take such drastic steps for GRE and GMAT. I think I took it in my third year or like final year, and I think a lot of other people did too. And in fact, I kind of made it, I kind of postponed it a bit. What you might want to do, and not a lot of people I think look into this, is when you're preparing for your GRE. I'm not sure about GMAT, but GRE is conducted by ETS, and they do offer the option to reschedule your exam. So if you feel that your preparation is not up to the mark, like you've reached a point, but your preparation is not, or you need more time, I would suggest taking like slightly less drastic step of rescheduling your exam. I did it and it worked out well for me. I can say 100% that it was the right step to do. And whatever fees it might be $50 or something, that's not going to matter in the long term. But yeah, you can look into such options. But as for preparation for your standardized tests, I think you should try to like I would say at the end of your second year, I think you should solidify your plan whether you have any serious consideration towards higher studies. And if you do, then start your preparation then, so you don't have to take a drop, or don't have to take any like extra steps. So by the time you're done with your BTech, you should be done with your you should have your scores in hand too. This is my opinion.
Yeah, so I think if I go for the worst case scenario, I think it's asking for a drop for a year, I think, to get the GRE. And I think that would be the worst decision you could make if you're not doing anything in that time, because it's not just the exam. Let me give you a brief up on it. So you also have to submit your statement of purpose, which chronicles everything you've done in your professional, and what you have achieved, how many projects you've done, how have you spent your time from your uh, years in your college up till now. So if you take that drop, you'll have to explain what have you done in it. And if you don't do anything in it, and if you don't do an internship and you sit idle, that is significantly going to hamper your chances of getting into any university. So a drop, definitely. If it's in that case, no, I would really not recommend it at all. However, I remember there being GRE classes being conducted on campus as well by different vendors. So, along with your studies, which get over in the afternoon or towards the evening, you could enroll in these classes, which range from uh, they go on from I think 6 to 8, if I'm not wrong, and then you can practice your GRE skills over there and then give the exam. But taking a drop for it, I would not suggest that at all.
Yeah. Mm.
I feel
I think
that
yeah, go ahead.
for it will just add up to your preparation, because let's say even if you're setting for placements, it will hone up your quantitative aptitude and these abilities. So doing it before the placement starts is the best time you can do it. For GMAT, it also applies that you can reschedule it, and I think it's every 20 to some 16 days. So you can schedule your GMAT. There's no limit that you have to take it only once a year. You can take it more than once a year at your own pace. And for GMAT, I would say that you can prepare. It's not a very difficult exam, so to say, if you approach it organically. So what happens is when you have vacations, like let's say monthly vacations after semester, in that time you can prepare for GMAT. You necessarily there's no need, I mean, to take a drop, because you have ample of time in those vacations which we get from one semester to the other semester. Just sacrifice, you can sacrifice that time of vacation and you can utilize it for GMAT preparation or GRE preparation or whatsoever.
Yeah. I think more than I think beyond a certain.
I think we do have a question that is job experience necessary for a good college through GMAT. Um,
Yeah, you
so
should
for,
take that
so
and
for
answer the
this
next
question,
question.
I didn't
I
get
think the
that.
one there's a question before it. Someone has asked any final advice for students who want to take MBA right after graduation, and which is worth preparing, GMAT or CAT. Do you want to get that?
Right after graduation. Okay, I think it's not like that MBA requires work experience. Few colleges are there, like if you say London Business School, and very few exceptions in India. All other colleges do not require uh, a mandatory work experience, so to say. So you can take MBA right after graduation. There is no harm in it. All it takes is the right attitude that you want to go in that direction, and there's no necessity of work experience in that matter.
Okay. I think, would you say that's the answer for the last question, that is job experience necessary for a good college through GMAT? I think you covered.
No, again not. You can take up GMAT, and in fact you can take up GMAT in your third year. You will have this course with you, which is valid for 5 years, 5 coming years, which is not the case with CAT. And these scores will be valid, and you can apply these scores right after your fourth year or while you are in your fourth year. So you can balance it in this way, like your graduation is over and these scores are accepted, and you can just directly go for an MBA after that.
All right. We have one question which says, is it possible to be a pro programmer with a smartphone alone without a
Nice
laptop
question.
or PC? I think, I
Nice
think,
question.
yeah, we agree things have advanced a lot, but I still
Not
recommend
that far, I think.
not that far. Yeah, probably when we have more. But yeah, I think mostly the thing that comes off the top of my head, I'd say your thumbs are going to start paining after a while, even if like your programming environment supports it, which is your smartphone. But yeah, I'm not sure if that. Yeah, I would suggest sticking to a physical keyboard for now. Aditya, do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I don't think that question requires any more.
Okay, I think we have another question from Shubham Bhalala. Maybe Aditya. Okay, we have heard of. Oh, okay, now we have another question. So, okay, guys, do you want to like take up this question? We've heard that focus on just one technology or master one is
Yes, yes.
programming, but I've
Yeah,
seen
I
and
mean,
experienced that we need to switch between languages according to the need for better results. I think you're answering your question, because I think this is very true. I think if, Aditya, Harshit, you can add your points after this. But I think what we are trying to tell you is, and what I tried to cover before, is that the paradigms are common. Like if you learn Python, then it's, or you learn Java, or you learn C++ or C sharp or whatever. When you pick up a new language, it's only going to be easier for you. So there's no harm. That it's not like you just focus on one language and you like don't like you give up the others. So definitely focus on one. Okay, so definitely focus. The reason why we said focus on one in the beginning is because when you go out for interviews and when you go out for these coding interviews and stuff, what they're looking at isn't, as someone who's graduating out of college, they don't want to see whether you know Kotlin, Groovy, and like Haskell, and like, I don't know what not. You know JavaScript, you know Java. They don't want to see that you have like 10 languages. Rather, they're testing you on your fundamentals or your basics, which is going to be common across all the languages. Like you can implement Dijkstra's algorithm in Java, you can implement it in Python, but I think what matters is like the concepts to be right, and the programming language is like a tool to implement that concept. So definitely first gain mastery of one language, then then as you get comfortable with that and as your needs change, like you want to work on some other application, then try out JavaScript. Like you want to develop web apps, then move to JavaScript. If you want to develop something else, then move to that thing. If you want to do data analysis, then you should move to R. So according to the needs of the industry, according to your interests, you can always switch it up, but at least start with one of what we were talking about. Aditya, is that Arshit, is that? Would you
yeah,
agree?
I mean, it's you have multiple languages to support one single job that you would want to do, right? So be it data science, be it application development. So if you're familiar with the concepts of making that application or that particular job to be done in one language, you would be able to apply the same thought process as well as the ability to execute it in a different language as well. I think the only difference that comes in middle is syntax. Take for example Java and Python. You want to make an application, fine, you can do it both. But the only thing that comes in between is syntax. So if you demonstrate an ability to create an application successfully in either of them, you can easily switch to the other one just by conforming to the syntax of that particular language. Hence, we say once you are comfortable with the concepts of coding, advanced coding with a single language, you can apply the same concepts anywhere, irrespective of the language, because the core concepts stay the same, and the only difference that comes is the syntax and how to execute them. So that's why we suggest sticking to a single language when uh, getting proficient with these concepts.
Right. I think we have one question that I can take where it says, what exams are required to do masters? That's pretty straightforward. I'll just tell it quickly. It's like GRE. And by masters, I think you're talking about a master's, not an MBA. So, first of all, you would require the GRE exam, which tests you on a couple of areas. They're basically testing you on your verbal skills, on your quantitative skills, and also there are a couple of sections which your speaking, your reading, your writing abilities, and so on and so forth. Basically, they're testing your communication abilities, and then your quantitative abilities, which will be required for like technical field. And then, depending on the country that you choose, like I think if you want to pursue your studies in Canada, then you need to write IELTS and you need to score a certain level. I think they're called bands. You need to every university might have a requirement, but and there might be a general requirement, so you need to fulfill that criteria. You're choosing US, then you might have to prepare for your TOEFL, which is a test of English as a foreign language. So that question that again will test you on the finer aspects of like English. So these are the two exams that you can look into. TOEFL and GRE are both conducted by ETS. So and they also have official prep materials. So you might want to look into those. So this is the prep I would say for that is required for masters.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I
I
think that's all the time we have, and that's all the
Yeah.
questions we had.
I think the last thing
Yeah,
is
nice.
for data science, which language do you advise, R or Python? I'll just like short answer, I would say go with Python simply
Yeah.
because it is a powerful language for data science as well as for other applications. R, I'm not that much experienced with R, but R is very good for like visualization and like that kind of thing. Also used for data science, but R is kind of a niche language, whereas Python has like its applications in a lot of fields. So I think that would be beneficial to you in other areas as well. So I
Yeah,
think
Python is like it's a very expansive language. You could argue it has R in it, but yeah, with the different
yeah,
libraries you get. So I'd stick with Python.
I think that's about the time we
Yeah,
have over here.
yeah.
Great interacting with you all. Take care. Enjoy your Saturday. So all right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Uh, Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoying their college life to the core, Sishir. I don't think there is anything lagging in that part. Okay, so thank you guys for all your inputs. And as Sishir said, no doubt you guys are still among us wherever you are. Okay, and the moment we were to give an alumni talk, it's Sishir who struck my mind. Though I was not your class in charge, you still made it to be in many of our hearts. So we are really very grateful to you, Sishir, Harshit, and Aditya for accepting our invitation and making your presence here. I hope this session would have certainly benefited many of your juniors here. So without any further delay, I think we shall wind up the session and stay connected, Sishir. Keep in touch, Aditya and Harshit, you too. It's really good to get reconnected to you with you all. We really had a wonderful session with you guys. So, and anything else you need at any point of time in your life, you don't feel reluctant. You can definitely reach out to any one of us at SRM. We will be there for you for you all at any point of time in your life. Okay, so
thank
all
you
the
so
best.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And thanks to my friends Harshit and Aditya for joining me today. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
ma'am, for
guys.
inviting us. Thank you.
Bye.